And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the season finale, the last episode that we have went through. 9 of these things so far of The Last of Us, brought to you by HBO Max. It's your boy Lucas, it's your boy Terrell, as we're here
Hey,
to talk about the hit for some people HBO show, The Last of Us. And here we're talking about the season finale, episode 9, which we are going to name Ellie's Song. Because I don't think, well, at the time when we're recording this, they have not named any of the episodes.
no.
So that's just a peek behind the curtain here. So we're just going to name these episodes when we want to. So episode 9, Ellie's Song. So what's going on tonight, sir? How are you feeling about this evening and the Last of Us television series?
feel like I'm feel like I'm disappointed. That's where I'm at, man. I'm real disappointed.
Well, let's get into episode 9 as we start off episode 9 with Ellie's birth, which is
Yeah.
I don't know the point of starting off with Ellie's birth here. I don't know why this was something we needed to see. I guess we needed a little bit of backstory because we haven't really gotten any, but
Right.
I mean, for the backstory just to stop at her being born and then say, yep, you don't need to know nothing else about this character
I think
from
this
born
was
until infected.
right. I think this like I said, this was painting the picture of why she's immune to the virus. You know, her mom was infected while she was, in the womb or whatever before she got pushed out. And that
So
was kind
she's
of
Blade.
yeah. that is the story.
So she's Blade. So now she's immune to sunlight and
Oh my
everything else. But like it again, only reason I say that is because for this entire time we've not truly gotten a backstory of Ellie. We had it in the first episode with Joel. We understood what leads Joel to be Joel. Here with Ellie, we get the story of her birth. We get Marlene, who was friends with her mom,
Yeah.
but then we get a complete. If I go back to the first episode, well, when they discovered Ellie, wasn't it Marlene who discovered Ellie, or they brought her to? They brought the. I'm guessing the Fireflies brought Ellie to Marlene,
I feel
and
like
at that point, there's no connection mentioned between them two.
right, yeah, they kind of play it off like because like Marlene obviously dropped her off and she was raised under the academy or whatever that place was that she was at. But I feel like when we pick them back up, we're obviously catching Ellie like some weeks in after that whole incident with Riley,
Yeah,
where they probably found her because remember that was one of those outposts that Riley was
yeah.
sanctioned. Probably how they wound up
Hmm.
upon her in the first place. So. But now we know that she was cool with mom. She probably never told her. She probably just never told her. Oh yeah, I'm also had to kill your mother too. So,
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's just a weird thing not to be brought up for these two characters to be so connected
yeah,
that we don't get any mention at all from Marlene. Like, I know who this girl is.
yeah. Marlee's only
Nothing's brought up.
this is her second episode because you don't see her since episode like
Yeah,
one. Like
once since episode 1, when
yeah,
she had Ellie chained up for weeks and never mentioned, I actually know who you are. Like, none of this is brought up to her, or is it even brought up to her, or it's mentioned like, hey, maybe it's because your mother was infected when she gave birth to you, and maybe
mhm.
that's why you are immune.
But she
I would
told
have
us she
just
wasn't. She
assumed.
told us she cut it before that. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, Marlene should have known then, like, okay, I think you may be just saying this, but still, if you find out that Ellie can't be infected, wouldn't you go back to, huh? Maybe it's because maybe something to do with her mom dying, since I knew your mom was.
right.
Like, again, it's just a connection that is odd that's never brought up. But again, that's one thing about this show. I think the show has really been about a lot of connections that's not as fleshed out as I would have hoped from a show. But just from you, from a video game standpoint, what did you think about like this beginning part with the Ellie's birth to just in general, not necessarily the points of the story in this episode, but in general with the connections of the characters in this show? Have they been as fleshed out as you would have wanted them to be?
Um, I don't know, maybe because like we just move so quickly. I mean, they only
Mhm.
give us 9 here. I mean, like they move so quickly, jumping from one thing to the next. And like I said, I was kind of hoping that would be just a little bit more in between.
Mhm.
And I did appreciate getting the scene with Ellie's mom, showing because you never see it. Like that's this is the first
Yeah,
time you know, of course. And the actress that they casted was perfect. She looks just like Bella Ramsey. It's something that I was like, man, is that her
she's
actual mom?
the she's the
Mhm.
actress who plays Ellie in the game, right?
Is it?
Wow.
No.
If I'm not mistaken, sir, yes.
Yo,
She,
how did I miss
I
that?
thought so, unless I'm losing my mind. I thought that was the actress that played Ellie in the game that plays her mom in the final episode. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm about
I
to look it
could
up.
be crazy.
Oh,
I don't think that's going to be something easy to look up considering
right.
we're so far removed from the
Um,
last episode.
yeah, it's Ashley Johnson. But yeah, I do think like that was a good little touch to add just to kind of give you because again, this is made for people that have
Hmm.
not played these games, giving you a little sprinkle of like, okay, why is Ellie immune again? What's going on? Where do we start? And
Oh,
I
yep,
did
I
appreciate
am right. By the way, yes,
Ashley Johnson.
Ashley Johnson.
Yeah.
She is the motion capture and the voice of Ellie in the game, so they
Wow.
just got her to play Ellie's mom at the end.
How
It's
did I,
it, it's to help you video game folks out
how
because
did I miss
I
that?
wouldn't, I would not, I would. It would have never came to me to care.
To be fair, she was her hair is a different color, so that's also threw me off.
Wow, wow.
Uh, but yeah, man, I just I don't know. I knew where this had to go. I knew where this was going, and I was you've been talking to me all for the last couple of episodes. This is like season two of the show that I'm
Mhm.
not even thinking that they would reach the end game so quickly. And that's kind of why I wanted more in between. The stuff like they did with Bill. I would have
Yeah.
loved some backstory for Marlene.
Yes.
I would have loved that.
Exactly.
Uh, other than okay, this is your stepmom, and then I also killed your mother because before she turned. Like I said, I would have loved more of that this episode.
Mhm.
If they would have gave me like 20 minutes of that, I would have been okay. More about the Fireflies, why they are the way they
Mhm.
are. So many opportunities here that I feel was wasted. But other than
Mm.
obviously Ellie and Joel being built upon, that's
Yeah.
kind of real only character growth you see. Like
Yeah.
opportunity for what characters you need because everybody else is just kind of flash forwarded or they die within the same episode.
I,
So
I think this is the problem with having a video game adaptation want to almost go frame for frame with the
right,
video game.
right,
Where video games struggle with any storyline is sub characters don't matter. They are just there to support the lead characters and you get nothing out of them. Like
right,
Marlene feels like an empty, wasted character because I don't know anything about her. I could care less about her.
right.
And even as we building up, I would have questions of how Joel and Ellie go across the world here, and we saw their struggle. But if Marlene was going to do that anyway, what did she need Joel for?
Oh my goodness.
I like what sense did that make? If you were going to do it anyway,
And
wouldn't you
you
just
got
want the
a whole
doctors to
army with
use?
you, man. You got a whole group of
Yeah,
people with
it
guns.
it made no sense. But then again, I'm guessing that the narrative of the video game
Nah,
could be the
man.
same way because as you said, this is extremely faithful to the video game. If it is extremely faithful to the video game, these are the flaws that because you're playing the game, it gives you so much gameplay along with the cutscenes that it can make up for storyline holes. But when you do it as a television show, you can't make up for these holes at all. We can't make up for Joel miraculously recovering in 2 weeks. We can't make up the sense that Marlene would actually need Joel in the first place.
Right.
We can't make the sense of Joel's connection to Ellie. It doesn't make full sense here.
Hmm.
Like, why would he care? He's been treating her like he treated her like cargo for 6 of these 9 episodes, and then
Right.
miraculously, after she goes through the most traumatic episode humanly possible, then he gets feelings like that. I want to protect you.
Well, it's also
I'm confused.
it's been months. Like it wasn't like this was like a couple weeks. This is months. Like so. I mean, I
But see,
could.
that's the problem though. They're
Yeah.
not even telling us that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. You're
and when I
right.
mean it, they've been together for months. But keep in mind, from episode, let's say episode 7 to episode 9, those are weeks in between, because it's from Joel being hurt to what happens with Ellie with the cult people to the beginning of this episode, which feels like right at the end of what happened with Ellie and the cabin when she had to burn it down and she had to kill a guy. It feels like we picked up right at that moment. And because of that, it just leaves story gaps that I would have questions for from a narrative if this was not a shot for shot remake of a video game. I think that's the biggest thing here. But let's quickly get back into the story of it. After we discovered that's Ellie's mom, and Joel and Ellie are back on the road again as we see try to cheer her up with beefaroni, which is disgusting, and uh, and a word game. But we see here it's just Joel trying to snap Ellie out of everything that happened to her and out of her mind and getting back to the obnoxious kid that he's known to care for here.
Mm.
What did you think about just these scenes between them two as he attempts to snap her out of it to get the kid back that he's been with for so long?
I don't know, cause obviously, because the last episode was the whole we're eating people episode,
Yeah.
but but I don't know if that was her dealing with the traumatic whatever of that, or just dealing with the fact that the journey was ending, and this person that she considers, a parent, a father, or some type of figure, is going to go away, after this handoff, whatever that is, and she's finally getting to see the world and stuff like that. And obviously outside of this world where she's not supposed to have hope for anything, she has this thing with Joel that she's really, she finally has somebody like family. She finally has family.
Yeah.
And, she lost that with Riley, and she hasn't had that again until she met Joel.
I got a quick question for you then. We saw the episode where she was supposed to be dropped off at, and that place was wrecked. When did they discuss the second location to drop her off at?
They didn't. They didn't. Yeah, because the college was supposed to have been the spot where they would. Yeah.
So if that's the case, then would it have been a situation of those feels about them, like the mission coming to an end? Because at this point, would she even know there's an end? Because technically, he doesn't even know what he's going.
Right.
They're just
they don't discuss the details of like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that again, one of the things that I had questions about. I mean, we see after the scene with them as after he's constantly trying to cheer her up, and we get the huge scene with the giraffes. We're not going to talk about it, Terrell. I already know what you want to talk about with the giraffes. We're not going to talk about that part of this at all. We're just going to say this looked or will look beautiful when they show it. Granted, I think this is supposed to show escapism for Ellie because she's never seen giraffes before.
No.
But boy, did it feel like just a moment to extend the episode. Because why? What is the significance of it? What did you pull from the significance of her in this moment? Is it helping getting her childlike innocence back to her?
I don't know if I don't know if that's what it was, or Ellie is essentially like a caveman that's coming out into the world for the first time, and everything's a new experience. Mm-hmm. But I think it was just like supposed to be like this moment of reprieve, like, okay, like this is everything is going to be okay. His nature, surviving, thriving, whatever, stuff like that. And this was another moment for Ellie and Joel to have. I don't want to say like a father taking his daughter to the zoo type thing, but that's kind of where that is for like a moment. But yeah, it was nice to just kind of after all that just have kind of like a view of like almost like a paradise and like a better world for a second. And that's how they show it in the game, because they get like a big wide shot of like up top and everything just looks untouched and nature's around and yada yada yada. It's like a really, really nice scene. I don't think they executed it as well here. For me, like I don't think they executed it as well, but it is
So
what it is.
in a world of an apocalypse where everything is going to kaput, everything humanly possible. Um, One, I've again found out, and I'm still questioning why the fungus does not attack everything that's live and only humans.
Animals
Okay,
have brains too. That's weird.
I
I don't
yep,
know.
I've gotten past that point. Now I haven't gotten past that point, but I've grown to accept that for some odd reason this fungus does not get attach itself to animals.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. But the other thing, so you're telling me all these hungry people, we just had an episode full of cannibals, and they are just free ranging giraffes working around here with all that meat on their bones that can feed us for long periods of time? Like it
We also
doesn't
don't
make
know
sense.
how far off that was, from where they are. Because again, they don't discuss distance. They don't discuss, hey, we moved from A to B, anything like that. Other than okay, now
I'm
they're on
just
this
gonna
bridge.
I'm just gonna assume
It was also like
if
a snowstorm at the time too when they were trying to get.
if I'm a hunter, right?
Mhm.
And I send a group of people to hunt. I mean, unless these giraffes just magically popped up, they had to get there somehow.
Right.
I'm just questioning things that just I don't know. I don't know. I understand it goes against the rules of every video game in the world to me to question it. But
Hmm.
when you put in a different medium, it leads to me to have these questions. One, why can't these animals be infected? Wouldn't they be awesome things to infect for fungus? Like, just imagine one of them things taking over a giraffe. The hell that could cause.
Right.
Or wouldn't if I was Joel, if I wouldn't I just killed that thing? That's meat. That's survival. Like in the end, I don't care that you look pristine in grass. Nah, we need food.
This guy's
We
talking about
need to
burgers and
eat.
giraffes, man. Like, who, who's out here eating giraffe meat, man? You know how hard that'd be to
People,
take that giraffe down?
people who are eating humans. I'm pretty sure they would eat a giraffe.
Which, which,
We're in a
which you
world
would
where
you
they
rather
eat humans.
would you rather eat a human or that can of beefaroni that's been sitting around for 20 years?
I may have to eat the humans because that beefaroni would be horrible.
You gonna give Chef no compliments, man.
Hey, hey, look, nah, man, we're gonna have to kill. We're gonna have to eat up some of these
But yeah,
humans. I
you,
am
you
not
you're
eating
right.
beefaroni.
You right, and I think that's one of my fears too. Is that as I watch this, I was and I'm writing down my notes. I'm like, man, this is a really ridiculous plot hole, and I'm trying to ignore it, but it's hitting me in the head. And the bedazzling of the PlayStation game, and it being one of the greatest stories of all time, which people need to calm down on the reviews. It's definitely
It is.
not.
It is. It is not. It is the most basic story humanly possible.
Right, the greatest video game story of all time. But yeah, they uh, it's a lot of stuff to think about, man, and it hurts to see it like this, like right in your face on
Yeah,
HBO.
yeah.
Because
I think.
again, they have
Yeah,
every
I think when we came to the conclusion
so
of the creator saying the goal was to do a shot by shot remake, and that was it. The moment I read that, I said, "Oh, so basically, if I played the game, you're really like attaching this to that feeling." Because other than that, why would I care? Even if I played the game, I will still question like if I know how it's going to end before it starts, what am I watching this for? And I
right.
think that's something you brought up as a fear that you were wondering would they give us a little bit extra to separate it from the game? Would they change it a little bit to separate it from the game? Now that we're at the end, and we'll go back to the episode, but I got to ask you this question. Now that we're at the end, we know everything. Are you upset that they didn't give you other elements because they just went shot for shot with the game and said, "Hey, that's going to be our story."
Yeah, I am. I really am upset. Like, and because like once we got past the scene with the giraffes, I'm like, oh, here we go. This is what I.
Yeah,
But obviously, it was a lot of some changes there, and the way things went down were completely different. But just really goes to show what I've been talking about. Why people were mad. Because Joe's a good guy. And I read, by the way, I read that comment in episode 1 about, oh, Joel is whatever. He's not. All right, this proves this
oh, they still
proves
think he's a good guy.
Yeah, I'm like, is he?
Oh, why? Of anyone who's even read anything about, I haven't even played the game, and I know that Joel is not a good person. He's never meant to be a good
Selfish,
person either.
selfish,
But
selfish.
let's get into the part of really what makes him not a good person here. As we get to the point where after they're searching, the Fireflies show up.
Mhm.
And at the time, we did not know who they were as they kidnapped Joel and Ellie. But then we find out there are the Fireflies. Marlene has put herself in the Game of Thrones uh, world traveling machine so she could get from one location to the next in less than 5 minutes.
Well, she
Clearly,
said it took her. It took him a minute, you know. So
it took them a minute, but it took Joel and Ellie longer, and they left before them.
and
Come
they
on,
walked
man.
majority of the way.
Come on.
So
Come on, man. But again, we get the kidnapping, and then we get the moment that I read to see where this was going at because I want to know where they go exactly by the video game. We get to the moment of them explaining to Joel what was the next step for Ellie here. And that was she has to go through the surgery. We have to take a piece of her brain out that is infected because we believe that can be the cure to save everyone. And this is when Joe's reaction is what Joe's reaction before we get to that part. I just want to ask you this simple question here. As someone's never played this video game, but I've seen the movie Swordfish countless times here. And John Travolta says the most important thing is Swordfish. Would you kill one baby to save millions?
yes,
And yes, and then the answer is, well, would you kill 100? Would you kill 1,000,000 babies to save billions? It's an analogy of what are you willing to do to save lives? Here, they believe that Ellie can be the cure, as we know she clearly can't be infected,
mm.
but they have to pull a piece from her brain, which is an odd place to pull it from, to get the cure for the infection. Were you hoping at this moment you would get a different reaction from Joel and not necessarily the video game reaction from Joel?
No, because again, I mean, they've built up this journey, this relationship between Ellie and Joel, and the way they were planning it up this entire episode, like he didn't want her to
Mm.
leave, he didn't want this to end. So there was no other way for that to go. Just kind of off of how they've been planning it up the whole episode, like, and they explain like, hey, they got to remove a piece of the brain. And he's like, oh, the cordyceps attacks the brain, yada yada yada, or grows in the brain. So
Yeah.
you think they would do blood tests first, and that's just me. But, but I mean, she just got there. Yeah, already talking about brain removal. But just to see, that reaction of him, like again, he sees Ellie as a daughter, man. So he didn't want to lose another Sarah. Basically, that's what happened. He feels so
I
guilty
was
about it.
I was praying really, really hard they weren't going to go down the angle of it being the replacement daughter. And then all of a sudden, after we get the news, we get Joel turning into John Wick for some odd reason here. And taking on a complete army by himself and an army full of people who clearly don't know what being an army is anything about. I'm going to ask this question. In the game, I know we've always talked about that Joel's a killer. Is he this proficient at killing? Because to kill that many soldiers, especially the first two,
I can see.
you
Yeah,
have
I
to
can
be
see if it was
extremely
like
proficient.
that was at least like 10 plus people. I'm like, I can see if it was 3 or 4, but it just got a little ridiculous. Then they had the scene where he was like in the middle of the hallway with 3 people pointing guns at him, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
It's somebody out there like, oh my god, this is beautiful cinema. No, it's not. This is
He wasn't
horrible.
peeking. He wasn't peeking in the corner or nothing. He was right down the middle of the hallway shooting a gun that only
Okay.
had 1 shot per. It was a flash.
He didn't even. He was killing people and not collecting their ammo to give himself more ammo. And I'm like, wait a minute, that makes no sense. The whole thing, even when he's around the corner from the desk in the hospital, when you have one person at the desk and one person further out, it's literally set up to kill him. And miraculously, 2 shots. Absolutely done. So again, I didn't necessarily know if they build Joe up to be this sharp shooting type of killer.
Well,
because
yeah,
I've just seen him struggle almost up to this point, we've always seen him struggle with people and killing them.
He just went in the rage mode. And I know in the game too, like the building is like burning. It's like the whole floor is on fire. Like Joel, I don't know if it's already on fire or like Joel like causes a fire to the whole building. Like that. And it's not as clean as this. Same thing, he comes in, he shoots the doctor, stuff like that. Which plays a big role in going forward. But he shoots the doctor and everything like that. Gets Ellie and leaves, and exact same scenario. And you're escaping a burning building or like a building that's coming down at the same time, and you just ride out. And then they added this whole thing on the subfloor here with Marlene. Interesting choice.
So in the game, he doesn't kill Marlene?
Oh no, he definitely kills Marlene. Because she is, as he said, like they have the scene where he was like, you won't stop coming. Like and he shoots it, and that's exactly how that plays out. But I remember it being in the hospital, not in the parking garage. So that's why I was saying that might have changed that to double check.
So again, the most important question is, who's the bad guy here?
Everybody's terrible.
Waiting.
Everybody's terrible. Yeah, that's the thing about The Last of Us. Everybody's trash. Yeah, ain't nobody.
I don't see Joel as being a good guy here. Technically, what he did was put his need not to lose a surrogate child over the need of the world, possibly. And you have Marlene, who's willing to sacrifice what's like a niece or a daughter or her best friend's kid. You're willing to sacrifice her to find a cure. Granted, I understand Marlene's angle way more than I understand Joel's angle here. But again, it seems like no one's good in this show.
And that's the biggest thing, and they play it up in the next one, is that they both took away the choice from Ellie. Neither one of them gave Ellie the choice. One she came in drugged through a right surgery. Oh, that's what we gonna do. no options.
Even when Marlene offered to give Ellie a choice, Joel said, "Nope, I'm not gonna give you the choice to do it." And she said, "Hey, she's good. If we just give her the choice," granted, that should have been the answer from the beginning, is to give her the choice. But to say, if we give her the choice, and then Joel says, "No, I'm just gonna kill you instead." Granted, I'm still wondering at the time that he's holding Ellie, the way they show the gun afterwards makes no sense.
So he must have, like, somehow he's able to scoop her up with the gun in his hand, or he's able to, I don't know. He maybe grabbed the hip. I don't know.
Hey, I know how guns work. I have lots of them. That didn't make sense at all.
He has another hand. I don't know.
Hey, he must do. He must do. Or something else on him grabbed that gun and put it in his hand, and it allowed him to kill Marlene. Again, I think that's just the questions that you are going to have with a show like this. Again, if you want to be faithful to the game, this is what you get. But by the end of the episode, we get the big scene, the big Ellie being free scene, and Ellie asking Joel the most important question is, swear to me the story you told is 100% true. And from this point, we know the story that Joel told her was complete lies. What did you think about this? I know this is actually how the video game ends. This is how game one ends. Is the same thing. What did you think about ending the show this way? Because it feels so anticlimactic to end the show based off of this very simple question.
It's almost
because you have to get a sequel at this point.
Right. It's almost like they knew they were getting greenlit for this. Like they knew it's getting that second season. I mean, with the assumption like, oh, we're gonna do X, Y, Z. And if that's the case, hey, prepare to be mad, because it is what it is going forward.
Because we know where the story goes to.
Right.
Which
again,
we understand.
The whole thing for me, man. I know so many people have been excited. They've been wanting to see this, but the whole thing with, like you said, just try to be shot for shot and not being scared to make the change because you don't want to piss off the gamers. You don't want to piss, this precious best story of all time. And I still like it despite, the ridiculous flaws in it. But I think just not wanting to take that risk is pretty weak. But again, this last scene again frames what Joel is, who Joel is. He's that shit was hella selfish. he had a choice to make, and that lie pays a price later on. Obviously,
Yeah.
because she's gonna keep questioning it and then want to
Yeah.
keep figure out what's going on. So like I said, again, they had an opportunity to change it. They also could have just ended it right there, but like you said, you get that season 2, get your money, and then you
I
close
mean,
the.
if maybe they decide not to go to season 2. I don't know. People hate The Last of Us too, and they hate the way that story goes. So maybe you don't
I don't
do
know.
it then.
People tune change like months after the fact, like, oh, you know what? Joel wasn't really that. Okay.
Yeah, but clearly now people are confused on this in this show when they think that Joel's a good guy. So maybe it's again it happens this way because you don't get enough backstory necessarily on Joel and the things that he did. It's only hinted to the things that he did. I'm more upset I didn't get more of Tommy and this amazing city that we should have seen way more of in this season that
Again,
we saw for an episode and half of that episode, and then that was it. Like that is a more interesting thing. I think that this show, as you said it best, it chose not to take a risk. It chose to say, we know what the game is, and we're going to go shot for shot with the game, and we're not going to change anything. Welcome to the issue with having the company who makes the game or who helped produce the game make a show. Because if you're not going to change anything, I'm going to stick to it. What's the point of watching this if you ever played the video game? You can't get a point. You know how this is going to end.
right.
What are you looking for? The only change to you bringing it up to me is Bill. That's the only change.
Yeah.
And yet, still, that's the best episode of this entire season. But that's
I,
episode 3.
I agree.
That's episode 3, I want to say. So that means you have 6 episodes after that that doesn't measure up to that one episode. And that's the issue with the
Because that was
show.
a character building episode, and they fleshed out more details, and they just chose not to do that after that. So many opportunities, even with I almost said Tyrone and his brother, but
Yeah.
uh, like with those two characters,
Sam and Henry,
yeah,
pronouncing it right now.
I would have loved to have seen all the stuff that led up to the portrayal with the situation and stuff like that. Everything that led up to
Who
that.
did he portray?
The guy
I never even saw the
he
guy.
wound up ratting out the Fedra or something like that and got him
No, no,
killed.
but I mean, I never even got a story of the guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, why is that so impactful if you're not willing to show me the guy? But yet, and still, you add a completely new character to it in his daughter, but then you kill her off almost immediately. Like, what? I don't understand. I'm not here to understand this. I'm
Yeah.
just going to ask
It's
Terrell,
just,
what are your final thoughts
uh,
of season 1? Or maybe the final season. I don't know if this is a mini series.
yeah.
I don't know if it's a limited series. I think this is just season 1. But what are your thoughts of this season of The Last of Us?
Man, I got to say, like I said, I was disappointed, like the lack of building that we did, lack of chances that we take. Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with the little bit of action scenes and stuff that we got, but like you said, like I said, I wanted to see characters get built upon. Like this could have easily been 13 episodes, and everybody, if they could have got, so and so could have had an episode, and it could have built all up to whatever moment. I would have loved to have seen more of Marlene. I would have definitely seen, because that could have been if Marlene and just how the Fireflies worked and how she met Riley and how she what she did in the time frame that she was taking care of Ellie and got her to that point. Building more of that relationship because she was her, like you said, her mother, her aunt, whatever. Why did she care that it was hurting her to do that to Ellie? I didn't feel anything about that. She just seemed kind of came off like a villain. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
And in defense of Joel, they did pull guns on him, and the one dude pulled a knife on him. Just to just to be like, Joel's not a complete villain in this. But yeah, man, it just sucks, man, because like I said, a lot of expectations for this show. And just trying to stick to the source material, I don't think was the move. It looked good, don't get me wrong. I think it looked really good. The casting was incredible, but I just needed a little bit more reason to care about the people that were around our main characters. Whether or not they died or lived, matters in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is what happens when prestige television does video game adaptations. or any adaptation from someone who isn't willing to take a risk to do something different. This is not necessarily the road that we normally get with HBO. From everything they've adapted down to the last great one being The Watchmen, which is nothing like the actual comic book The Watchmen.
Nope.
I was expecting them to take this story and mold it into something that not only was prestige television, but that was entertaining television. Here instead, we got a show that, as you said, looks great. It is acted extremely well. It is extremely boring. I was bored for majority of this season. And that's not a good thing because again, this is coming from someone who never played the games. I don't necessarily know how it feels for people who played the games to get intrigued by story. You already know how it ends. That is something that I would question as a gamer or someone who you're attempting to get me to care about this story. Is like, hey, if I've already played the game and I know how this ends, why do I need to watch you tell me how it ends? I already know everywhere you're going to go with this. And I think that is the fatal flaw of this as a show. It would have been great if someone would have said, hey, let's take the characters and build something different around them. We could keep key elements in that are important to the game. But other than that, we really need to give this a completely different story to intrigue everybody. Instead, we get lots of walking, we get great performances, but that's it. Nothing else. For its best episode to be in the first quarter of the season says a lot about a show
Right.
because again you still have to sit through countless amount of episodes where it just feels so pointless and so boring that I would question, like, not necessarily what's the first view impact of it, but what's the replay viewing aspect of this. Would I ever go back? Who
No.
would ever go back to this show? Once you see it once, will that be enough and you say, hey, I never need to see this again? And that doesn't necessarily make it a horrible show. You can be a good show, but if you don't have replay value, what is the point of your show? And I
Right.
think that's the issue with The Last of Us. It does not have replay value. It's a one and done type of thing. You see one episode, you never have to watch it again. The story, I know it's people who think the story is great. The odd part of it all is I remember when this game came out and people said the story was extremely simple. Yes, that's it. It's it's extremely simple. It's nothing overly complicated about this story. It just gives you in this show, you get Pedro giving you a great performance as Joel, Bella doing a good job as Ellie, but unfortunately, them to deciding that supporting characters don't matter. No one else in this world matters but them two, and because of that, you lose you lose connections and you lose impact because we don't care about the supporting characters in this, and that's the problem of it. But any final thoughts, Terrell, before we close this out of the season finale of The Last of Us? At least song. Again, that's our name. I don't know what the heck HBO is going to name this show.
Yeah, I almost want to say that I know I'm usually, I'm all for the week to week because week to week builds that conversation around the water cooler and yada yada yada. But I almost feel like with this, they should just release it all at once, just because of the way it's paced. Like I feel like
Yes.
just give it to me all at once. Let this be a Ben's joint. Like this doesn't need to be for it to end up like that. If you know everything that's coming, if it's what I'm saying, if it's a story that you already know,
Mm-hmm.
why not just release it all at once? But go milk it for what it's worth. But no, that's it.
Hey, it's HBO. They have no choice.
Right.
They got to milk this extremely expensive show for all it's worth. But hey, matter of fact, what's your final grade for the season? Give me that. That's the most important part.
Man, seeing everything overall, it's I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna give it a C plus.
Mm. You know what? I'm gonna agree with you there for a change.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
gets
no,
the
C minus.
trying.
I'll give it a C, not even C minus. I'll give it a solid C. The performances are good. The story is not at all intriguing, and you don't care about the supporting characters. But other than that, I mean, the story is solid enough to make it an average type of show, and the performances are really good on it.
Should have took the risk. That's just
But
me. The risk.
but this has been another review brought to you by Big Gold Belt. The entire season, check all of our reviews out for The Last of Us. They all drop right after the episode airs. So you can comment, subscribe, let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you think about this finale. Are you upset that this show decided to go the exact route from the video game? Do you think Joel is a good character? Do you think not killing Ellie to save everyone in the world was a good decision? Do you
Potentially,
actually believe?
potentially,
Huh? Well,
potentially. It
even
was,
even if it's a potential, it's worth it.
mm.
You chop her little head off, you take the piece out of her brain, and then you save everyone else, or have the potential to save everyone
Yeah,
else.
he took it a step too far when he said, "Oh, there were 12 others just like you," and that was the moment she was like, "Okay, this dude is bullshit." Like, that's where it started to cast doubt in that story. I'm like,
Hey,
okay,
hey, my man was telling every lie humanly possible. But again, let us know if it was a good idea to keep Ellie alive. Let us know if you would have liked more story from these supporting characters and if it would have pushed the narrative even better for this story moving forward. But again, check this out. Let us know what you think. We'll also check out every other bit of content we have on Big Gold Belt. You have Terrell reviewing multiple animes. I don't know any of them, but I know he's reviewing multiple animes. Then we have reviews of the Your Honor dropping at the same time as this. We have reviews of BMF dropping. We have reviews of Godfather Harlem dropping. We have reviews of Snowfall dropping. We have reviews of Harlem dropping. It's a multitude of shows that you can check out and let us know. Again, subscribe, comment, chat with us, drop in the super chat if you would like. Anything humanly possible, just tune in to Big Gold Belt as much as you possibly can and enjoy the content we're pushing forward. This has been another review to you by Big Gold Belt. Peace, people.
see.